say, what's that? It's Pat.
All right, hello everyone. This is Patrick Argiro, aka Cousin Pat, and I'm here with Vinc Pichel, a UFC fighter. His nickname is From Hell, and we're in session. So, how's it going, Vince? Vince, how's it going?
What's up, Pat? I'm doing. How you doing?
Good. I got to tell you a story. You were really cool. I reached out to you probably over a year ago. I saw you on Twitter and you were commenting on a fight, and I reached out and you responded, and it was really great. And I was doing a show called the Cousin Pat Show back then, but then I stopped, and so now I'm a therapist. So it's called Cousin Pat Therapy Show. And it's more about motivation and things like that. But
Okay.
you UFC guys are really cool. Like I did an interview with Jorgen De Castro. He was like chill as hell. And I unfortunately
Yeah.
did. Yeah, have you ever met him?
No, I haven't, but I imagine a lot of people figure we're just wild animals, which I mean we kind of are, but at the same time we're just normal people too.
I call it like beautiful brutality. Like it's an art form, but it's, you can be brutal. And you're like Jorgen is about 6'1", 260, and he was real chill. He's like, no man, no one bothers me. But so I'm not a big guy, but you're about 5'10", which is still good. If someone doesn't know, have you had issues? I would assume that some people, I can't see, who don't recognize you, and then they're like, hey, dude, like this isn't the fight you want.
I mean, yeah, I've had issues before, but I feel like my demeanor usually gets new to me, right? Like I'm not like the other fighters who like train martial arts or wrestling or anything when they were kids, right? Like I grew up fighting in the streets, so that was my dad, right? Was the streets. That's how I learned how to fight. So like that's just the difference between me, you know what I mean? I think that determines that.
Right,
My
right.
mindset's just a little different than most guys.
And,
But I don't feel like I'm a big guy. Like, I'm not a big guy, but if someone's gonna threaten me, my demeanor changes, and I think like good at letting people know that I'm not that guy without actually being too aggressive.
yeah, and I would think that some people would be able to tell. I think that there's certain people, there's like a look that just kind of,
Yeah, maybe. And I feel like I look kind of mean already. Like people tell me I look mean anyway, right? Which I understand that, right? But I'm actually like a pretty fun. Like I laugh and bullshit a lot, right? But yeah, like this, I don't know. You just kind of take it situationally, I guess. Like I've been in altercations myself, but I've also been in situations where people don't know who I am, or they'll see like my ear, right? And they'll be like, "Oh, he's a good cauliflower," and they'll be like, "Do you fight?" And then and then we'll start talking, right? So then it turns into that usually, but. And I mean, I really typically don't really run into that kind of stuff, but if I do, like the weird part about it now is like before when I was younger, if someone said something to me, I would just start swinging, right? Like if you have like, for instance, you said something to me, like we're at a bar, you bumped me, and I'm like, oh, excuse me, you said some shit. You were like, nah, fuck you, right? You said something like that. I wouldn't say anything back to you. I would just call. Like that's my mentality, right? But now that I fight and I've been fighting, I find myself like straying away from that kind of shit now, like like trying to avoid it. But if it happens, it happens, right? But I try to avoid it now.
and
I
also,
feel bad for what I do to people.
right, and also like Mickey Gall told us, is that his name, Mickey Gall? He fought.
Yeah, Mickey Gall.
Yeah. He said the same thing. He said,
Yeah, okay.
what's that?
Showing himself.
You trained with
Mickey was
Mickey?
actually down in California for a bit. And he trained over at Muscle Farm with Walker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, over at Muscle Farm for a little bit. A
Okay.
couple of years before he moved back to the US.
Okay. He said the same thing. He was telling stories, and he's I think he might be a little bit younger than you, but he said the same thing. When people would bump into him or something, he'd just knock them out. And It's like I would not want to be on the receiving end. I'm always saying, "Excuse me, I'm sorry, my apologies." Like, you just never know. But anytime I see somebody with cauliflower ears, I just go, "You know what? Just go. Don't say anything. You don't need to. You don't need to." But let me ask you: now that you're older, do you find that not that you're old, because you're not old. I'm 46, so you're younger than me. But do you find that has helped with, just being a little bit more chill?
I don't. If I'm honest, no.
No.
I think the thing that most was actually fighting. Like before I was actually fighting or training or did anything, like I started training in 2007 over at Big John's. That was like
Yeah, I saw
when I
that.
first started training. June 14th was like the first thing I started training, right? And so before fighting, I was that short fuse kid where, I mean, I wasn't like walking around angry at the world all the time, right? But if someone said something to me, like in my head, like the way I like, you know what I mean? In my head, it was just like, okay, we're fighting then, right? Like I skip the bullshit talk and I go right to the punk. With fighting, it's calmed me down a lot to where I'm not like that anymore. And I mean, I'm still. I mean, I can't lie. I'm still an aggressive son of a bitch, right? Like I'm super aggressive. I'm that person, right? Like my nickname is my nickname for a reason. It fits me very well. But I'm also like not really that person unless I have to be. You know what I mean? Like I've learned through fighting to kind of control my anger and my own temperament a lot, and it's honestly probably just kept me out of jail. It's probably the reason why I'm not in jail.
Yeah, and I'm like a big kid in the sense of I love this stuff. I'm a big fan. I gotta admit, I stopped watching as much after I lost $1,600 on Woodley when Usman took the belt from him. So, but I'm still a fan. But in my defense, I got it from 0 to 1,600, and then I just went all in. And then once it went back to 0, I was like, I'm out. But
Hey man, go big or go home, right? So
yeah.
that's the way I live my life.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, but at the same time, I was like, oh. But let me ask your opinion on a few things.
I typically don't bet on anything besides myself.
Do you bet on yourself? Are you allowed to do that?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're allowed to bet on ourselves. We're not allowed to bet against ourselves, because then it's like, why are you betting against yourself?
Yeah, well, that makes sense, right? That makes sense.
Someone's gonna dive. This ain't boxing.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I asked this to Jorgen, and I'm kind of curious. As a veteran now, has been doing this since 2009. Is there any benefit? And I'm not making fun of the guy, because I've had my issues. I'm a therapist, and I became a therapist because I had trauma and I had grief, and then I just had to fix it. And going to therapy wasn't enough, so I had to become a therapist to like really deep dive this stuff, and I did, and it worked. I'm a former homeless guy, so I'm all about motivation. So I liked your story because I read your bio, but let me ask you this, and we'll get back to that. Is there any benefit to hanging upside down and letting someone punch you in the face? And you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Diego Sanchez. Is that like, does that do anything other than give you a headache? Like, does that really build the muscle? Like, he parted with that guy, which I think is great, but does that do anything? Does that really actually do anything?
Let me put it this way. Are you the kind of guy, you say you ate shit, you fell doing something. Let's say you're on a bicycle, you fell, you scraped yourself up. And it's not too bad, but you got some scrapes. Are you the kind of guy that puts a Band-Aid, or not the kind of guy that doesn't put a Band-Aid?
I don't put a Band-Aid, really.
So the difference between what Diego was doing and his guy, to me, is the same thing as people putting Band-Aids or not. I've seen some weird fucking whacked out shit, bro, in training. And like, I've learned that there's a time and place for everything. Would I do that, and do I approve of it? for choice of lesser words, it's not very intelligent to me, right? But
Yeah.
I tomato, right? What people want to do, people want to do. And to me, I don't know the situation fully between Diego and his guy, but that's not something that to me looks productive in any way besides some kind of weird BDSM shit. So like,
Yeah.
I have no idea what the point of that even was, to be honest. And that guy Fabian or Fabio, whatever the fuck that guy's name, he's a weirdo. You look at him and he's
Yeah, no, he's got
like, I
yeah.
want to feel bad for Diego, but then again, like, was Diego on drugs? Is that how he fucking ran to this guy? You know what I mean? Like, to me, my issue isn't Diego. My issue isn't Josh Fabia. My issue is Diego. He's the problem there, not the other guy. The other guy is clearly a fucking whack job, right? Like, that guy Josh Fabia he's got something wrong upstairs, right? He's got issues. Diego allowed this to happen. So I would look to Diego. How did this start? Right? That's the question that I have. How did this even start? Because when you see the extreme of it, to me it's something that you see in like a weird ass fetish movie, bro. Like that's just some weird shit.
Yeah.
Just weird shit. I don't know what
and you know what I think is well, it doesn't matter what I think, but my thoughts or opinion is that Diego was probably going through something, and this guy got him at a time where he was just, something wasn't framing correctly in his brain. And then all the heat he kept getting from people, even Conor McGregor was like, Diego, I'm on your side, but this is ridiculous, in a tweet or something like that. But he got rid of that guy, and he's a Hall of Famer.
That's why I say I question Diego, because in my head, he's on drugs. That's the reason why Josh Fabe is in his life, because he's fucking smoking meth or something. Like
really?
There's something in his life that shouldn't be there. And I think that's why that.
Why
I
that
don't know the details, so that's not like, don't take me as I know the details, but in my head, that's what I think and what I see. Like, I just see some weird fetish shit that happened, and I don't know how that kind of stuff starts besides like drug infested parties, honestly.
Okay, I don't mean to laugh, but it was just you're very honest guy. So when so when did mustache come around? That's been around for a while. I know it's a silly question, but
say that again.
The mustache, is that fairly new?
I didn't hear what you said. You cut out. Can you say that again?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna kill Spectrum. That's my cable provider. The mustache. How long has that been around? Yeah.
I think I had it. I rocked it for my fight against what's his name?
I have that same issue.
Gregor Gillespie. So I rocked it for Gregor Gillespie. Fucking mustache is bad luck, right? But I really like the mustache. I like having the mustache. So I was like, let's give it another try. So I grew it out. So in 2018 is when I originally grew it, and then I shaved it, and then I think I fought. Yeah, and then I fought Roosevelt Roberts, shaved, and then I was like, I'm going back to the stash. I want the stash, so I grew the stash back.
It kind of makes you look a little more intimidating, to be quite honest with you. I don't know why. To me,
I've been told I look like a lot of people. Like, I look like Dan Severn.
Dan who? Dan Severn?
Someone else had a kid. Dan Severn and like, Dan Severn and like Don Fry had a baby or something. Like, I do.
Well, these got to be pretty good friends.
I look like Mario. Yeah, I've been told I look like Mario. I've been told I look like the dude Ed Hardy and Bronson. So a lot of people are like.
Yes. I didn't watch the full movie, but yes, that's a movie, right? Bronson, yeah.
Yeah, Bronson. It's actually like an older movie. But
yes.
Hardy did like a remake of it.
Yes. He was the killer that.
Yes, I've seen that movie, which that movie's pretty good.
It was good.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I mean, I like the premise of it because it's basically about some guy who kind of gets fucked by the system and ends up just fighting his whole life in prison because he got in trouble for some stupid shit.
You have an interesting background, and the reason I hit record is you started telling. Sometimes these you get the best stuff like in the beginning. And
Yeah.
so you started saying about your dad, but so in your bio it said, now this is Wikipedia, so who knows if it's true, but it says that you were a bit of a hellion growing up, and that you're at 15 you stopped going to school, your mom kicked you out. I'm just going off the internet, so I apologize. I would have liked to have.
Yeah, I mean, it's the time frame's a little off, but yeah, that's correct. When I was younger, I was like I was an angry kid. I was in school in elementary, where I was just like, I didn't feel like going to school today, so I just took off, and I would literally just walk around neighborhoods and just hang out somewhere and hide and just chill somewhere. Like I would just like, that's what I would do. You know what I mean? And I don't know. That was like in elementary school. I remember doing that in the Valley. I grew up in Canoga Park, in LA, and yeah. So I was kind of I had a little, like, I don't want to say my upbringing was rough, because it kind of was, but there's people that grew up way worse than I did. Right? It wasn't too bad in that aspect, but where I wasn't like a dangerous area, so I wasn't really allowed to go out. But then I kind of got mad at a lot of stuff, right? Like typical, I didn't have my dad in the scene, right? Like he left early on when I was younger. I was just angry. I was just angry at everything, right? I blamed everything else for my problems. I never held myself accountable for myself, right? I never took on self-responsibility for myself up until fighting, until my early 20s. My mindset changed. I was like that. I was just a little asshole, honestly. Like I was a little asshole, and if I would have met me back then, I would have kicked my own ass now. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of good.
Did you?
It's funny because I'm so different than what I was then, but like I'm not. You know, it's kind of weird. I don't know really how to explain it, but
I think I know I'm not exactly, but I think I understand. It's still in you, but you hide it better. And
yeah, my mom kicked me out. I think. I got arrested. I got arrested for GTA, and I was in jail. I think I was like in jail for like 6 months or something, and I came out, and then I was like just kind of fucking off, smoking weed, doing what I want, taking pills and shit, right? Throwing parties at the house. And then my mom kicked me out, and I was kind of just on my own for a couple of years, just kind of like drifting around, sleeping on couches and whatnot. And then I had friends who let me live with them. And then I got a job. You know, I started working and stuff, kind of slowly like building myself up, right? And then, you know, and here I am today. So I'm just kind of like just a kid trying to break the bonds of poverty. You know what I mean? In my family, like my family, I grew up like super poor family, right? Like dirt poor family. And I'm just trying to break that bond. So I'm doing what I can. But it was definitely really hard. She kicked me out. I was super mad at my mom. I didn't talk to my mom for like 4 years. When she kicked me out, I was so upset. And I didn't like her boyfriend at the time too. So like that made it worse. And I don't know. I was kind of spiraling for a bit. And then what actually turned me around and got me into fighting was I was at a party with some friends. And one of my friends I was with was a smaller dude. And I guess I seen two dudes kind of like picking on him, and I didn't, and you know, I could tell by a lot of body language he wasn't happy, right? So I went over there because like when I was younger, like I love fighting. So if there was ever an opportunity to fight, too. So I went over there and I'm like, hey Josh, what's going on, man? Everything cool? And he's like, yeah, just talking to my friends here, yada yada. And the one guy goes, yeah, mind your fucking business and like get out of here, like kid rocks, you know? And I was like, excuse me. I was like, this is my friend right here. And like, I don't like how he's standing here because you guys like looking like you're attacking him right now. And then the one guy's like, what are you going to do about it? So I was like, this. And then bam, right? I hit that dude. He's out cold. And then his friend tries to hit me, misses. I hit his friend. And then like a bunch of people come, break it up. I get kicked out of the party. Me kicked out of the party. And then like, I think later on that year, I was at my girlfriend's uncle's house, and her dad was best friends with this guy who was Mark Bear Smith, and he's kind of like a hometown fighter from where I'm from in Simi. So like everyone knows him. He trained with the Metal Militia guys. Like he was tied with all those guys. He was kind of like, he was our hometown hero, right? Our hometown celebrity. And it turns out the guys that I beat up were his friends. And the guy that I knocked out was like a Taekwondo or Hapkido black belt or something crazy like that. And well, you know what I mean? Your friend was talking shit to someone smaller than him. I said, I'm down to fight. You know what I mean? Like I went over there, he talked shit, I hit him. That's what happens, right? Like your friend, you Hapkido no friend, you help your friend against me. Like I'm gonna swing. Like I'm not that kind of guy. So then he challenged me to go to a gym. I ended up going to a gym, training, got my fucking ass kicked, absolutely kicked, and loved it. And then just kind of kept training from there, dude. Like it was pretty nuts. So I trained at this gym called Kid Glove for like a month, and then came in Valencia, California, and I tried out for his fight team, and I made his fight team.
So just to recap, two guys are picking on your friend. You beat the shit out of them. He's friends with these two guys. He then says, hey, come down to the gym. And that's how you got into fighting, because you beat the shit out of his two friends. And he obviously heard about it.
Yeah. And so the guy, Mark Smith, he's like, hey, go to the gym. He's like, well, real fighters, right? See how tough you really are. So I was like, wow, challenge accepted, motherfucker. Where do I go? Tell me where to go. And then he pointed me to the gym. So I went to the gym. I was at that gym for 2 months, and I was training, I think, twice a week, doing jiu-jitsu. And then one day I was doing jiu-jitsu, and then one day I was doing kickboxing with their Muay Thai guy. And then I kind of had a falling out with him after the second month, because the guy was trying to like, the gym owner was kind of shady. He was trying to pull some shady shit and rip me off. So I left, and then we're like, hey, Big John's having fight team tryouts. You should try for the fight team. And then I did. My coach, Brian, put me in the maybe pile, decided to take a chance on me, took me out of the maybe pile and took me. And now today, I'm the only person from the original fight team, which was 32 people, that even still fights or is successful fighting.
Now, did you call it a baby pile? Is that what I heard you said?
Maybe pile.
Oh, a maybe
So
pile.
they had a yes. Yeah, they had a yes, they had a no, and then they had a...
Okay. And
my
so
coach Brian calls me and he goes, yeah, go ahead.
No, keep going. I'm listening. This is awesome.
So my coach Brian calls me and he goes, hey, this is Brian. I'm calling for Big John's. Let you know about the fight team tryouts, yada yada. I was like, oh, cool. Like, what's going on? He's like, so you want the good news or the bad news first? I was like, fuck. I'm like, all right, give me the bad news first. He's like, all right, bad news is you don't know you don't have any grappling really experience. You don't have any technique and striking experience. He's like, you hit like a fucking truck, right? But that's really not like enough to get you too far in fighting, right? Like, you need to have the skill. And I was like, fuck. I was like, well, that kind of sucks. It's like a shitty, that was kind of a shitty thing to hear, right? Like, I knew, like, he was being totally honest, and it's 100% true right at the time, but it hurt my feelings to hear that kind of shit, right? Like, as a man, you don't like to hear that kind of shit. You don't like to hear that you're not adequate enough for something, you know? So
Story of my life.
Yeah. Well, fuck, what's the good news then? Fuck, you know what I mean? He's like, well, the good news is we decided to take you out of the maybe pile and take a chance on you. And he's like, congratulations, you made the fight team. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? He's like, yeah. I was like, hell yeah. Like, I was so stoked. I've never been like more happy in my life. I was super stoked. I can't even describe the happiness I felt. I felt like my life at that point had already changed.
You had a purpose.
I also thought that I was going to get paid for training and fighting. I thought I was going to get paid. Oh, fuck. Fighting is a very expensive sport to stay in. It is an expensive sport to start. It's an even more expensive sport to stay in. And it is not easy at all in between those times.
So
literally one of the hardest life adventures I've ever undertook.
So what did you do between the fighting and to help support yourself?
So I worked actually before fighting. I just got a job as an electrician, so I was like learning how to be an electrician, and I was doing government housing, stuff like that, and I was actually $50 an hour for jobs. and I had like less than 6 months experience. So like, you know, I mean, I was like 23 years old making stupid amounts of money. I was just buying cars. I didn't know what to do with myself.
Wow.
And then I actually quit that to fight, and I went broke for a little bit and kind of like vagabond a little bit after that too because of it. But it was worth it now in hindsight. I guess it was still worth it to me. You know, I'd still do it again that way.
How much per hour did you make as an electrician? Because you broke up for a second.
I was making like 50, 60 bucks an hour, depending on the job. It was between. And so what I was doing at first is I had a motorcycle at the time. I was waking up at 4 o'clock every day. I would leave my house by 4:30 on my motorcycle at a Honda CBR 600 RR. I would drive that motorcycle 2 hours from Simi Valley to Bakersfield. I'd work from 6:30 to 3. I would drive back home on my motorcycle, tools and all in the back of my motorcycle. I'd drive home. I'd get home around like 5:30-ish. Or I'd drive to Big John's. I'd get there at 6:30 and I'd train from 6:30 to 10. I'd drive home, eat my top ramen, and do it all over again Monday through Friday. That was like my schedule for the first 6 to 8 months of my life as a fighter and training as a fighter. And every day I went to the gym, I got my ass just kicked, dude. Like, just not a good time.
But it was humbling.
It was pretty miserable. I was, yeah, it's very humbling. I came back from a very far deficit in skill as far as like, you know, martial arts and in tech. Trained on the team with who were already like purple, brown belt in jiu-jitsu, right? Who had wrestled in high school and college, and you know, who had been kickboxers and had kickboxing fights. So it's like I was kind of like that little black sheep in there that was kind of just like, let me get some of that, right? Like just picking little things here and there that I would learn, you know. And the way I got really good, the way I got best was I would attack my coach. So after training every day, yeah, something on the mat, he'd be talking to someone, and I would jump on his back, and I would try to strangle him, right? Like I would try to fuck him up. Yeah. Like, no, I'm not like seriously trying to hurt him, but I'm like, I jump on his back and I try to, you know what I mean? We start fucking around, I try to fuck him up. He'd kick my ass, right? I'd get strangled in 30 seconds. Okay, teach me how to not get strangled like that. He'd show me that. Okay, boom, I attack him again, right away. I wouldn't give him a chance. I'd attack him. He'd try to choke me in. I'd defend it. He'd get me with something else. Every day for like the first 8 months to a year. And that's how I got good at jiu-jitsu. That's how I, as a blue belt, wasn't getting subbed by guys who were purple, brown, and black belts in my earlier fights. And even in grappling competitions is because of that. But like, that's my mindset, right? Like, that's just like a part of me of how I, like, you right? Like, that was my way of getting extra learning out of it, right? And like, I love fighting. I love everything about it, right? Like, I love the physical fighting of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like martial arts at all, right? Like, that's all to me. The martial arts and the bowing and all that stuff, the traditional shit, like, that's all stupid to me. Like, that's, to me, that's just up over the top, right? Like, we're fighters. Like, we're basically just modern day gladiators. So if you don't appreciate me sacrifice myself, then you just go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? That's just the way I see it.
Right. So let me ask you this. What I like about martial arts as a guy who's not that big is, you know, you see these videos, or you see, you know, these kind of situations that occur where you're like, oh, this guy's definitely going to get killed. And the smaller guy, two skilled guys, if the guys both are equally skilled, they say the bigger guy should win. But like watching a smaller skilled guy like move his head and then, you know, just knock out a big dude. I've seen it a lot on videos and whatnot. It's kind of amazing. And then you have Dominic Cruz, who's like, I wouldn't want to fuck with Dominic Cruz, and he's you know, that gentleman from a Monster or something.
He's very hard to hit.
What's that? Can you hear me?
Dominic's very hard to hit.
Yeah, and he's like, he challenged that guy.
Hard to hit.
No. I'm sure he is. Have you ever fought him? I should have looked this up. Yeah.
Dominic, I'm actually friends with Dominic. After the Ultimate Fighter, he invited me to go train down in Alliance with him and the boys. So I was training down there for a while, and actually afterwards, me and Dominic actually became pretty good friends.
Yeah. He seems like
Like here and there.
he seems like a very confident guy.
Yeah, he is. He's a very confident guy, and then also like he's like a man's man, right? Like he's the kind of guy that you could trust and not bullshit you, right? Like he's not going to sugarcoat shit for you. He'll tell you how like it is. So I really respect that about him. He's not a sugarcoater, right? And I super respect that because I'm not that way, right? Like I a lot of else.
One of the coolest stories I ever heard, and then we'll get back to you, but Michael Bisping actually said this was true. They went drinking because I guess they did the Fox Sports together, and Michael Bisping was going to start a fight with Dominic Cruz, and Dominic Cruz kind of said, "Yeah, you can start a fight, but I'm going to kick your ass." And Michael Bisping said he had a moment where he was like, what if he does? And he didn't do anything. And they both tell that story. And I think that's amazing because Michael Bisping is a killer and a big guy. But
yeah, but so is Tom, right? And that's the thing about us is like we don't have to be big people. And I'm not a big guy either. I'm 5'10", and I'm not like, you know what I mean? I'm not a big guy, but I have the ability to make big people feel small.
Oh, I'm sure.
A lot of fighters do.
Oh yeah, I love when you see those videos like UFC Fighter versus Street Fighter, and then you just wind up seeing the Street Fighter on the ground. It's kind of amazing, but
it's just not fair. It's not.
Well, the thing is, I tried to tell somebody this that I said I'm going to be talking to. I was calling you Vince because I'm a jerk, but I didn't know any better, and I'm sorry. But I was saying Vince is like you guys train like we work. Like we go to work, we try to get better, we study, and you're learning how to be an assassin for 4 to 6 hours a day for the last 20 years. I mean, it's. Yeah, you don't want to mess with somebody like that. It's just not a good idea. And the thing is, if you don't know,
and I think exactly, if you don't know and you're not in the world, you really would have no idea until it's too late. Honestly,
yeah.
Like imagine, like things will happen like that football player. Who was that D1 football player that was talking shit to some kid in the bathroom? That kid just mopped him up, right?
Mm-hmm. Or what about the football?
Well, or anything, right? If that guy had like 6 months of jiu-jitsu, he would have mopped that football player up, right? Like that's the difference that people don't realize is there's like just people with superhuman abilities. Like, and me as a fighter, there's people that I've seen that have superhuman abilities as a fighter that I'm like, fuck, like this guy's really good at like this, right? Like I see shit sometimes, whether it's jiu-jitsu or striking, where I'm like, dude, this guy's a fucking badass. Like you don't fuck with this guy striking. Like if you're gonna strike with this guy, you're gonna jiu-jitsu with this guy. You bring your fucking A game, right? Like, and as a fighter, doesn't know anything. Like, what do you think is gonna happen, right? To me, that's like fighting with cops. That's like, why would you fight with someone that you know, right? Like, and this is an analogy that I use with people too. It's like like if you like over the whole like cop shit. Like, if you know a cop has a gun and he has the right to like basically kill you. Why would you start a fight? It's the same thing as like starting a fight with me or another UFC fighter. If you know what who we are and what we could do and what we're capable of, would start a fight with us. Like I guarantee you would not start a fight. Maybe try to stab us in the back or shoot us in the back or something, right? Like I'd understand that, but you wouldn't try to physically fight us. So like I don't know. I feel bad for people who kind of step out of line sometimes like that to the wrong people because they just don't know until it's too late.
Who is that gentleman that Cowboy Cerrone beat? Mike. He beat him very quickly. Mike.
Dude, Cowboys fought everybody.
Huh? Oh God. Oh, he was training with Darren Till. Who?
It was Mike Perry.
Yeah, Mike Perry. Mike Perry tells a story.
You armbarred him?
Yeah. It was Mike Perry. and some dude starts, at the time, his girlfriend starts like kissing on his girlfriend's neck, and he goes, "Hey man, get out of here." And the guy punched him, and Mike Perry just that was it, knocked him out. And he said the friend started running. The friend started running. And, you know, like, let me ask you a question, an honest question. Are you considered, and I'm not trying to even be funny, but are you like a lethal weapon in the sense of like,
lethal weapon thing?
Yeah, like, is that a myth? Or like, I heard a boxer say her hands are actually registered.
You know what that is? That's an old wives' tale, and I'm gonna say this: that's something that fighters who were shitty fighters used to tell people, so they didn't have to actually get into a physical altercation in the streets, because they would have probably got their ass kicked. That's just a wives' tale. We don't. That is the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life. Now, that being said, if you do get into trouble, let's say if I do get into a fight and I maliciously attack someone, I'm gonna get in a lot more trouble. I'd probably be considered like a military guy shooting someone, right? Like it would kind of be like that, like a military guy using his experience to take out someone, right? So I'd be held to a higher standard, and I'd get shit on way more by the law, I'm sure. But you know, but that is a wives' tale. Like, to me, that was just something that karate guys said, because, like, if I'm being completely honest, I think karate's bullshit. I don't think karate's an actual fighting style. I think it's more of an art than it is a fighting style. So I think that was just something that karate guys used to tell people, so they didn't have to actually get into a fight. But it's not true. I've never had to register myself. I've been in fights in the streets, and the cops have came, and I've told them, "Hey, I'm a fighter. This guy came out. This is what happened." I protected myself.
Yeah.
There's just a fine line. So, and I luckily know the laws, so I play that game. I stay under there.
Yeah, which is smart. And this, what you just said, kind of just goes into my next question, because I have a couple more, and then I'll let you enjoy your Friday. When you get a guy, your opinion, because you sound like you could have went down a different path, right? But the fighting actually helped bring you in, and now you're just a more skilled fighter, but you're less angry. When you have somebody like War Machine, is that just a combination of someone who's extremely mentally ill, who just knows how to fight very well, and that's what happens? Like, why is a guy like that beating the what happened?
I actually know War Machine. I actually know him. His name is John Koppenhaver.
Yep.
I grew up with him. He was a couple years older than me and my guys, and me and my friends were all like skater punks, and he was like part of the jocks crew. Like, they were all.
He looks like a jock. Yeah.
We used to always fight each other. Like, yeah, he was a jock, and like I was one of the skater punks, so we all fought each other. But without like digging too much into his past and talking too much shit, he's had a lot of really traumatizing things happen in his life, and he's let those things turn him into the person he is today, instead of taking a step back and being like, hey, this is something that's been happening, and I want to break this cycle. He didn't. So that's why he's where he's at right now, honestly.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to talk shit about him. I was just curious as I was listening to you talk about how angry you were. I was just like, you know, this kind of looks like you could have went down one path. So I wasn't really talking shit. It was more like as a therapist, just kind of curious about it. And so you actually,
no. I didn't want you to think that. I didn't want to feel like I was talking shit. That's why I said that, because like it's hard to say stuff like that without people being like, oh, you're talking shit about him now. You know what I mean? And
no, I didn't take it that way.
Like, he's had a really hard life growing up, and he's been through some real traumatizing things. But in my head, like, he just, like, I don't know. There's like, as humans, there's some things that we just can't recover from, and that's like that's the truth of life, right? There's just some things that will beat you down in life that sometimes you can't recover from. And I feel like he just had some of those things emotionally, and it got the better of him, and that's why he's where he is today.
Yeah, and I do wish him the best. I mean, I hate to say, I mean, this might sound weird, but I do actually wish him the best. And sometimes I have a friend who committed double homicide, and he's in prison. He's getting out in about 2 years, and he got his college degree. And I don't condone what he did, but you just hopefully they can learn something. Although in that environment, I hear it's very hard. But so you actually knew
Yeah.
him. You knew him. So did you actually? So you knew him before you both were UFC fighters.
Oh yeah, we've been in altercations. Like in high school, he was like 230 pounds, like roided up. He was big. He was juiced.
Really?
Some park, it was like a rumble. There was like 100 of us. Yeah, we used to get in big rumbles. There would be like, it was honestly like it was nothing I could really say can like really tell you it without you have like you would have just had to been there, but it
Sure.
was literally just like a huge mosh pit of like 100 people, right? And these things happened like probably like every other month or something like that, right? Where this happened, and it was always between us and the jocks, right? And it was always like our group of friends and their group of friends, and it was just huge rumbles that we got into, and like people really got like. I remember one time we were fighting, he was fighting one of my friends. And I remember I was fighting, I turned around and I seen him hit my friend, and then he like stomped on my friend's head. And then I grabbed a brick and I threw a brick at him, and he fucking turned and looked at me, and then I just fucking ran because I was like, fuck that.
He took the brick.
Yeah, I threw a brick at him and it hit him like in the shoulder or whatever. And he just like turned around, he just like turned around and looked at me, and I was like, fuck, I ran. I think I was like 130 pounds at the time. Skateboard, and I was out. I was fighting that fucking guy.
Wow.
But he was pretty notorious for just like he was just a roid rage animal back then, man. Like, and he was notorious for like beating up people and even like girlfriends and shit. So like it's like I said, it was just a revolving cycle that he chose to not break.
So you weren't surprised. You weren't surprised at all by his situation. So did you
No.
guys go to the same high school?
No, I went to every high school but Royal, and I think he went to Royal.
Okay. Okay. So
Fighting.
what motivates? I'll put two questions into one. One, what motivates Vinc Pichel, and then also, how long do you see yourself fighting or continuing to fight? So they're two separate questions, but
All right. The first one you're gonna think it's kind of funny, but my anger is actually my determination and my drive. When I said I've got not there anymore, I'm still a very angry person, and sometimes I do lose my shit still, right? But it's now that I'm just able to control it more. But my anger still gets the best of me. But my anger is what still drives me, because I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to not have anything, and I know what it's like to like, I know what it's like to basically fight for my life, man. Like I've had to fight for my life. Like I should probably be dead in a few instances in my life, but I'm not for whatever reason, right? So because I don't want to feel like that, and I don't want to be that person. I don't want to take that step backwards, right? Like my goal in life is to break the bonds of poverty in my family, like. And whether that includes me breaking away from my family, doing what I have to do or not, like I'm gonna do it. But that's not the case. But it's mainly my anger, because I don't want to ever feel like that. I don't want to ever feel helpless. I hate feeling helpless. I hate not having control of my life. I hate having to rely on others. You know what I mean? Like, but ultimately it's my anger that drives me, because and it's not even my anger. Like I'll be mad if I do something. Like I get mad at myself. I'm extremely hard on myself, but I would be mad at myself if I was a quitter. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where I got this in me, but I just have this ability in me to just not quit. I don't ever have the thought in my mind that, okay, maybe it's time to quit, right? Like, so I think that's just what drives me. And failure, actually, I failed a lot too. So failures are definitely a big driving factor. As far as how long I'm gonna be fighting, I don't really know. I've been getting asked that a lot, and I don't really know. It makes me cry, like even thinking about retiring and not having fighting in my life, right? But I don't know when I'm gonna have to stop fighting. And right now in my head, all I know is I've made a move new gym. I'm training with like new hungry fighters, and it's kind of reinvigorating me and making me feel like I'm falling back in love with fighting again. So in my eyes and in my heart, I hope I could fight for another 5 years if I can, you know what I mean? But I'm in the lightweight division, so I'm not really I'm not the kind of guy who's going to want to stay in there longer than I should be either. So I don't know. I'm just going to let my body tell me when it's time. But as far as right now, my body ain't telling me that. And
What do you walk around at? Weight wise? Like what?
normally I walk around about 180 to 190.
Really?
Typically like 180 to 190. Yeah, I'm really light right now. Since I've been out here, it's been a little hard for me to gain weight. I'm not sure if it's the training or what, but I'm walking around mid 70s, low to mid 70s now. So I'm like super light for what I normally am, which is kind of weird.
Okay. Because 180, 190, that's a 5'10", 180, 190, that's not small. I mean, it's...
Yeah, I mean, I'm class. Normally when I cut weight, I'm cutting from like 190 or even a little more sometimes. So like my body just responds very well to weight cutting and dieting and stuff. I'm an overeater, right? Like I'm a Dutch Italian, so like
I was going to ask you that.
Shit.
I was going to ask you, what are you, to try to figure out maybe, with the temperament, but Dutch Irish, Dutch Italian, you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Dutch Italian. I'm Dutch Indonesian and Italian.
Okay. All right. So you, in August, I believe you're fighting.
Just another angry mutt.
What's that?
I'm just another angry mutt.
Well, you could say that about yourself. No one else would say it to you. But be ridiculous to say. So I believe their next fight is against Austin Hubbard, whose nickname is the Thud, which I think is the coolest. I mean, I like your nickname, but just Thud. It's
pretty good nickname.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
He's got a pretty good nickname.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys, and I bet you are friends with them, but a lot of you guys, you fighters, like, I bet you if you weren't trying to beat the shit out of each other, you probably like hang out. Like, that's my thinking. But
yeah, we do.
Yeah.
One of my teammates is actually at my house now. We've been just chilling.
Oh, okay, all right.
So the reason why I was late is because his car died, and I had to go jumpstart him. So I had to I don't have jumper cables, so I brought some electrical cable I have for a house, and I jumped him that way.
Wow, look at you. That's innovative.
Yeah, I got skills. I got skills to pay the bills.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just one of those guys. I'm one of those guys that I'm not even kidding. I'm one of those guys. If there's a zombie apocalypse, like my place would be the place to go, because I'd have like electricity, water, like my shit would be set up. I'd have barbed wire everywhere.
Do you know that women think it's weird, but some men I think like that too. Like, man, if there was a zombie apocalypse, I get killed. Like, and people go, that's a strange thing to think. No, it's just like, like I said, I'm like a big kid. Like, who would win, Superman or Green Lantern? Like, yeah, if there was a zombie apocalypse, like, I think I'd be fucked. So I have my license and stuff, and I carry.
I feel like we're kind of in a zombie apocalypse lately with the way the fucking world is. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on your opponent? And you're fighting, I believe, August 21st, right?
Yeah, we're fighting August 21st. I think in Vegas. I'm not going to be the guy that he gets that win off of. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going there. I'm not going there to lose. So, and he's not either. But that's the beauty of fighting. Like, just let the Rams duke it out, and then whoever's on the mountain's on the mountain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Young guy, 29 years old. Pretty good record, 13-5. I'm not sure who he's fought, but yeah,
he's good. His ground game looks pretty decent, so he looks like a good, well-rounded fighter, honestly.
Yeah. But you
I feel like I'm a big step up for him.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. I really enjoyed you on The Ultimate Fighter. I thought you were quite interesting, and just overall unique guy.
I'm so glad they didn't put a lot of shit in there.
Yeah. Well, hey man, but you didn't do anything like too crazy. But
No, nothing bad, but like just I don't know. When I watch it back and I watch myself, I fucking just hate it. Like I'm just disgusted with myself, right? I'm just so embarrassed for myself when I watch myself on that shit.
do they want you? Do they want you to act up on there? Is it like suggested, like every other reality show, or is it just?
Oh no, not at all. And I'll tell you this story. We fought our fight to get in the house, and we were in the gym, and they were picking teams. Dana was giving us a speech, yada yada, go over this and that. This is your opportunity, you know what I mean? Yada yada. You get these coaches, right? He goes through the whole speech, and then he's like, "Okay, let's start picking teams." When he says, "Okay, let's start picking teams," one of the main producer comes out, Craig Pelagi, and he goes, "Oh shit, Dana." He goes, "Fucking cameraman fucked up. There's no tape in the film. Can you redo that?" Dana goes, "Nah, you fucked up. You missed it." Then Dana turns and looks at us, and he goes, "Listen, right here, or any of these other assholes that work for this asshole, tell you to say or do something or repeat something that you already did, and it's not organic." He's like, "And I find out, you're fucking gone." He's like, "If you want to be on a reality show," he's like, "you join the fuck Kardashians." He's like, "This isn't that fucking show." He's like, this is the only non-scripted reality show on TV, and it's gonna fucking stay that way. So if I catch you guys doing what this asshole says, you're fucking gone." And then I'm weird. I was like, "Whoa, yes, okay, cool."
Fuck you. Yeah, but I like that. That's good. Keeps it authentic. Because as
it was really cool.
Yeah,
it was a really cool experience, honestly.
It was. I bet it was. Yeah, I bet it was. Who was in your season? I'd have to go back and look. What's that?
Yeah, do some research, man. Yeah, you got your research skills are subpar here, buddy. It was Dominic and Faber. Dominic Cruz and Uriah Faber.
No, not the coaches. I meant not the coaches. I meant some of the other contenders.
I mean, the ones now. I mean, the only ones still in the UFC, I think, are just me and Chiesa and Ali Quinta. But there was a lot of guys. It was the live. I was in the live season. Like Miles Jury, like on my team, we had Justin Lawrence, Miles Jury, Chris Tickle, James Vick. It was me, Jeremy Larson, and who else? There's one other person. I don't remember.
Well, that's okay.
And then the other team was like Sam Cecilia, Mike Chiesa, Ali Quinta, Chris Saunders, John Kofer. Who else is on their team? Jeez, I'm so shitty. Oh, Andy Ogle was on their team.
Yeah, just so you know, this isn't an MMA show; it's a motivational show. But I have a TBI, but it does affect my memory. But since you're far away, I can like. No, I know you're making me look like an idiot. That's fine. I'm okay. There's nothing I could do about it, either if I was right there. So, yeah, like okay. So I'm just gonna cut that part out. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
We'll just edit that out. Don't worry about that.
No, it could stay in. I don't give a shit. I have thick skin. It's fine. But no, I remember. Like, yeah, for me, things get real fuzzy, and I take medication for it. But that's part of my journey. And that's why I like talking to different people. Like today, I talked to Walt Harris, right?
Yeah, I know Walt actually.
Yeah, well, I didn't talk to Walt. I talked to his wife because she's, unfortunately, what happened to their family, and it's a shame. So she came on and working on Anaya's Law and Foundation Anaya's Heart. So. I interviewed 4 people today, and I'm starting to get a little scrambled. But she was a very strong woman, and it was. I hope they change that, because not everyone is like you. Not everyone who runs into, they run into you, they're screwed. But there are people out there, like regular people like us, who when these bad guys run into us, we're kind of screwed. So
yeah, I mean, we're like I said, we're just like we're animals, right, for our money. But when in our normal lives, we just like to be normal people, man. Like we're just, you know, we get excited about buying vacuums at Target and shit. You know what I mean? To fix the house up. Well, we're just normal people.
yeah, no, I could tell you're a regular guy. You're a regular guy. He likes to talk shit, make fun of people who can't remember things. No big deal. No big deal. But,
That's exactly my life. I actually joke about it with my teammates too. I'm like, bro, I just live like I'm in high school. I literally I fight, smoke weed, and play video games. Like my life is literally just that, and chase girls, right? Like that's my life. I live like I'm in high school still.
hey, man, that doesn't sound terrible. That doesn't sound terrible. So, and if you're happy and you're not hurting anybody, who cares? So, anyway, I want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. It was nice to finally meet you. Yeah, no problem. Because you're big time, so you have people. So I had to go through your people because you're big time. So
well, I just have him schedule it because like he knows my schedule, and that way it's like out of my hair, you know.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm a former stand-up comic who didn't make it, but I still, I still tell bad jokes. So, but it was really great meeting you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know you agree with the bad joke part. But thank you, and I'll put a description of your Instagram and Twitter in the description, and we'll look out for the fight. He's going to be fighting Austin Hubbard August 21st on ESPN, and so we'll look out for that. And thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll talk again.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Pat. It's good.
All right, man. Take care, sir.
You too. Later.
Bye-bye.